locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
You've got no chance in hell.
You know, you're getting a little better. I hate to admit it, but the growl, the sort of guttural, scary, painful sounding.
I know you like that one, Jack. Yeah. I know you like that one.
Yeah. That was good.
There's no way you didn't like that.
The vein was sticking out of your forehead. So
who is that? I know you know who that
Vince
was.
McMahon.
Of course.
Of course it is.
Look at that.
How does that guy still have a voice after doing that shtick for
Dude,
all these years?
and he's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for years.
Just like the throbbing veins and just the screaming, the growl, the spittle.
He keeps something in his throat in order to be able to do that.
Yeah, and maybe he doesn't talk for an entire day.
It must. I mean, he's probably drinking a lot of tea or whatever the heck it is, because that dude is amazing. Folks, welcome back to Duke Loves Wrestling. I am the Duke. And yes, I do enjoy doing pro wrestler impersonations, and I'm going to keep on doing it no matter what my illustrious co-host, the Boston bad boy, Mike Pelosi, says.
Yeah, I'm afraid to give you any kind of encouragement because it's really not been good. This is the first time since I've known you that you've done anything sort of with an artistic twinge to it. That's actually worked.
You can't just put me over and let it be that. You got to take it back.
I've been over this week enough. I've taken it. I've taken too much this week.
Oh, jeez. You know,
it's been a long week.
We got a new president of the United States of America.
I can't. I don't have it. Last week we talked about it, and I just don't have it.
Well, we can't talk politics here?
No, well, this is a wrestling program.
Oh, boy.
Okay. We can, listen, all with moderation, my friend. And I just think that give us a break.
Oh, you know what? Fine.
Give the people a break.
We will leave the politics alone here. But, folks, we have a new set of your fan-submitted questions, a.k.a. Ask Duke. We also have the guy, Rudy Russo. This man has held an NWA title. He's tearing it up on the Texas wrestling scene. He's going to come on and talk about his cool career and even that main event match that he had against Terrell Tempo. All of that, plus we're going to run the ropes. But before we get to any of that, I want to thank you. That's right, you, the loyal listeners of Duke Loves Wrestling. Thank you for tuning in on iTunes and on YouTube. You've been hitting us up on Facebook and Twitter, even though sometimes you've been agreeing with the Boston bad boy, which I don't appreciate, by the way.
Yeah, that happened recently the other day. I forget exactly what that was, but I'll remember. I'll think about it during the show.
Please. I hope you forget it all. So listen, listeners, I don't mind you sending messages on Twitter and on Facebook at Duke Loves Wrestling, but stop agreeing with the Boston bad boy. Come on.
You can't argue with what's right.
I don't like that stuff at all.
I'm a force of nature.
But keep the support coming, and we'll keep giving you the podcast that you love. It's time to run the ropes. I give my opinion on the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling. Let's go. WrestleStar 3 is only 8 days away. That's right, folks. According to MiddleKingdomWrestling.com, WrestleStar 3 will be happening live at the Pattaya World Boxing Stadium in Thailand. Now, this is the 2-day extravaganza going on November 18th and 19th. You'll get to see Paulina destroy that no-good Tyra. You'll get to see Aram Mir show the world why he's still the chief. Big Sam will be bringing the Big Sam Bomb. Even the biggest movie star around Ash, he'll be on the card. Check out MiddleKingdomWrestling.com and also Kingdom Wrestling Federation. They're on Facebook, by the way. Check them out for more info. Billy Corgan, no longer president of TNA. Yep, according to WrestleZone.com, Dixie Carter announced that to the entire TNA roster during a conference call that Billy Corgan, he has been shown the door. He has been kicked to the curb. That's right, relieved of his duties as president of the company. Now, this comes on the heels of Corgan losing that lawsuit against TNA for failure to repay a loan, and also this guy was trying to sell his portion of the company. Now, listen, Billy Corgan, let's be honest here, pal. You had problems with people that you used to be in the band Smashing Pumpkins with. It seems like every business dealing that you have, there's always some kind of legal mumbo-jumbo going on. Is it time to stop it, Billy Corgan? Is it time to stop it? Who knows? We're going to find out.
Does anyone else picture the actress Dixie Carter every time you mention Dixie Carter in TNA?
Well, you know, the actress from Designing Women, which
right.
she was pretty fantastic.
That's right.
But listen, I'm going to say this.
She's Delta Burke. But
I like TNA's Dixie Carter. I think she is a sweet woman. She just got into the wrong business.
All right. Move along.
That's right. Speaking of TNA, are they offering a new streaming service? Yeah, according to WrestleZone, TNA is exploring a streaming service. Now, think of the WWE Network, but with exclusive TNA content. I mean, they've been around for over a decade, folks, so they have a lot of content to show. This would be interesting because I've told you before, the company's not really worth much except for that library. So if they're not going to sell to a big timer like the WWE, if they can find a way to take this streaming content and incorporate it and make some money off of it, well, the company can survive. And I know that they got a new infusion of cash from another company. So, hey, TNA is going to be around for at least the rest of the year, folks. Stay tuned as this develops because this is going to be a big one. Rhino has lost his bid to become Michigan state representative. According to the Washington Post, WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champion Rhino, a.k.a. Terrence Guido, he lost his hotly contested match against Abdullah Hamoud. Now listen, folks, this is politics we're talking about here, and I'm, for one, am proud of the pro wrestling veteran Rhino. It is difficult to run for office, especially for the first time, and especially when you're somebody who is not normally involved in politics. You know, you never held office before. So the fact that Rhino was able to make it to the final two, and it was a close race, great job, Rhino. And I'm telling you, brother, don't give up. I hope we see you on a ballot again, because I got a funny feeling now that the regular folks who may not be wrestling fans, now that they're familiar with who you are, you're probably going to have a better shot the next go around. Go get him, Rhino. Folks, stop the presses. Sienna destroys Brandi Rhodes. Yes, if you tuned in to TNA Impact Wrestling last week, you saw what I begged, I pleaded to not happen actually happened. Sienna destroyed the lovely America's sweetheart. We're talking about Brandi Rhodes, the wife of Cody Rhodes. Now listen, folks, I sent Sienna a message, and I said, Sienna, you told me you weren't going to lay a finger on Brandi. You promised me you weren't going to do it. And you know, she responded back to me and she said, Duke, where's my tea? Now, if you remember, folks, a couple of months back, I mentioned the fact that I would give Sienna David's delicious tea if she promised not to lay a finger on Brandi. But I messed up. I didn't get her the tea, and now Brandi had to feel the wrath of the most destructive, the most powerful force in all of pro wrestling. We're talking about Sienna. We're talking about a.k.a. Allysin Kay, a.k.a. AK-47, pinkies up, the whole 9 yards. So I better get some David's tea together and send it to Sienna before she destroys Brandi even further. Please, Rhodes family, don't beat me up because of this. I'm sorry. I will get off my butt and get this together. David's tea is on its way to you, Sienna. You've heard what I think. What do you think? Do you think that I'm a jerk for not helping out Brandi by getting Sienna that tea? Or do you think it's not my fault at all? And you hear Boston Bad Boy laughing in the background. You already know what he thinks. Please don't agree with him. But send us a message on Facebook, on Twitter at Duke Loves Rasslin. Let us know. Up next, we have Rudy Russo.
This is Alexa. And this is Brianna. And we're Sugar and Spice. And you're listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
Last week, we had Ba-Bomb from the You Should Play This podcast. And let me tell you something. Although he gave great wrestling analysis, he gave not so great pro wrestling video game analysis. See, the Boston Bad Boy.
Deal with it.
Yep, another person that agreed with him for some strange reason.
It's going to be huge. Move on.
Huge. And we also had Terrell Tempo of Texas Wrestling Entertainment. He joined us, and he was talking about his upcoming match with our next guest But head over to YouTube, type in Duke Loves Rasslin. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But listen to week 29. You can hear the great episode. It was hijinks. It was funny. It was silly. All that in a bag of chips, baby. But this week, we have a guy who took on Terrell Tempo. We have a guy who has been making some waves over there in Texas wrestling entertainment. Okay? He's a guy that even our friend Rudy Boy Gonzalez has given a stamp of approval. Without further ado, how are you, Rudy Russo?
Hey, Duke, I'm doing good, brother. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, no problem, no problem. Listen, Rudy, you know that we've had a crazy time here in the United States. The whole world is talking about this. We have a new president-elect by the name of Donald Trump. Now, regardless of your politics, you being a pro wrestler, you got to appreciate the fact that Donald Trump, a WWE Hall of Famer, is now president of the United States. What does that mean to a guy like you who's a pro wrestler?
Well, I'll tell you, without getting too deep into my personal view, I'll tell you that Trump did have a very, very tough road ahead of him. He had pretty much the whole country against him. The media was definitely against him, and that was very apparent. They completely ignored Hillary's background and made a big deal about his own background. And for him to be able to continue with his game plan and with his goal and be successful, that tells me, and it should tell the rest of the world, that anything's possible. As long as you set your mind to it and you have the right frame of thought and you don't let any of the haters bring you down, anything's possible. So that's refreshing to me, knowing that I have goals and I have dreams, and there's going to be forces out there that don't want that to happen, and anything's possible.
That's right. Now, what is your number one goal? You brought up goals and dreams. What is your number one goal in pro wrestling?
My number one goal is to have fun at what I do. I've been doing this a long time, and the road's been rough. You've got your high ends and your low ends, and it's so much fun when everybody's getting along and you're doing the right things, you're making the right connections, and you're putting on good shows, and you're having good matches. Nothing hurts when you're winning. So that's really my number one goal. I mean, I'm not out there to say, hey, I want to rule the world. I want to rule wrestling and take all the fans and all the merch or whatnot. I want to have fun. And if I'm having fun, that means everybody else around me is having fun.
I hear that. Speaking of having fun, we had on last week a guy by the name of Terrell Tempo, who you're very familiar with. In fact, you and Tempo had the biggest match of both of your careers this past Saturday. Please tell us about that Texas Wrestling Entertainment card where you and Tempo pushed each other to the limit there for that number one contender spot for the Texas Championship.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, it was a great match, and it was a fun match. I did not, I knew what to expect going into it because Terrell and I we've had some matches before, and then, I know his style, and I know his offense, and I know how to counter his moves, and I didn't expect him to be able to study me the way he did. I've got a few more years under my belt than he does, and Terrell Tempo is an up-and-coming star in wrestling business, and he totally proved it this last Saturday. It was a tough battle. It was back and forth. He ended up getting the better end of me at the very end, and I give him all the praise for that. Texas Wrestling Entertainment has a good future, and they've got a good base right now. So it's definitely a promotion to look for.
Oh, absolutely.
Independent wrestling.
absolutely. I mean, they have a pretty stacked roster there. Shout out to all the guys over at Texas Wrestling Entertainment. Rudy Boy Gonzalez, he's putting something good together. Now, listen, you and Tempo have been very complimentary of each other. But, here at the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast, we do our research. And word on the street, especially around the Texas wrestling world, is Rudy Russo, Double R, is a very popular guy. The kids look up to him, and even the ladies. I mean, you got a pretty strong following with the ladies, brother. What is it about Rudy Russo that the fans appreciate so much and relate to so much?
I tell you what, man. This business is full of characters and just it's full of different attitudes and different personalities, and they're all great and they're all fun. What I like to take pride in is I don't go out there and become a different person. I go out and I'm being myself. The way you see me interact with the crowd out there, you'll see me interact the same way out on the streets and on social media when I'm interacting with my fans. And they see that. They see the genuineness in my attitude and my interaction with them. And I think they resonate with that because I'm real. And, and I'm a good person. Doesn't mean that I won't stick up for myself, especially in the square circle. But with the fans, of course, I'm going to take care of them because they ultimately are the bloodline of the wrestling business. Without them, we have nothing to prove. I mean, we've got nothing without our fans. So it's very, very, very important for me to interact with my people, with my fans, and get them to see that I am being genuine, and I do genuinely care that they get what they pay for.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You must be doing something right because, seriously, you have a very big following, even online. Folks are often talking about Rudy Russo. Now, let's go back in time a little bit here. Have you always been a pro wrestling fan, and who were some of your favorites growing up?
Well, I mean, I wasn't really like I wasn't the hardcore fan that would get all the magazines and all the videos and yada yada yada. I wasn't that type of fan. I was more like, every couple of years I get deep into it, and then I'd fall off for a year, and then another couple of years I get deep into it. This is before I actually even thought about being a pro wrestler. I wrestled in high school.
Oh.
So I had the natural ability to go out and wrestle. But, once I started training, I found that the training, the ability, and the personality can meld together and become successful in the business. Don't get me wrong, I still study tape. Eddie Guerrero was one of the main, the Hispanics that came out, and the small guy that paved the way for the rest of us. And a lot of us look up to him. And again, going back to the follow your dreams, never let anybody bring you down, especially when you're the small guy in the ring. There's a lot more to shoot for.
Isn't that the truth? And rest in peace to the legend, the WWE Hall of Famer, former WWE World Champion Eddie Guerrero. I mean, yeah, he's a big inspiration, especially all over the world. But you grew up in that Texas area there where, the Guerrero family have been huge for years. Now, when did you realize, something, I want to step in the ring, I want to do this wrestling thing that I've been watching off and on for years?
Well, it was in 2003, and it was in Corpus Christi, Texas, South Texas, and like I said, I wrestled in high school, and this is quite a few years after high school that I started seeking getting back into shape through some sort of wrestling outlet, whether it be a referee for high school wrestling or an assistant coach for high school wrestling, something, MMA or jiu-jitsu rather. Well, I found a wrestling school in Corpus, and it was run by Chavo Guerrero Sr. And I stepped in there, and they took me in like family, and they let me train for a week for free, and they saw some potential. Chavo saw potential. Marty Green, who's running the school, he saw potential, and they took me in and they trained me, and I learned a lot of my basics there, and I'm very grateful for that, because the rest is literally history. I mean, it's been a fun ride since.
Wow, that's a pretty cool history that you have there. First and foremost, shout out to Chavo Guerrero Jr., who's a Lucha Underground star. But you mentioned his father as a person who started you off in the wrestling business. Chavo Guerrero Sr., a.k.a. Chavo Classic. So shout out to Chavo Classic. That's the man right there, brother. I loved that last gimmick he had in the WWE. It was awesome, because you could tell he was having fun out there,
Oh, yeah.
Now, Rudy Russo, how long have you been in the wrestling business?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's 03 is when I started, so 13 years.
Wow. So now, folks, when you talk to any of the wrestling veterans, I'm talking everybody, Jim Ross, the legendary not only behind-the-scenes guy, but also commentator. You talk to Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair. Everybody says the same thing, even Rudy Boy Gonzalez. When you hit that sweet spot, that year 12, year 13 in the wrestling business, a lot of things change. It's like you finally get it, So do you feel like, what's one of the biggest differences that you notice here in year 13 as opposed to when you first started off in the business? What's something that, like, a light bulb has finally gone off on you recently?
Well, I've made it a point to continually train and to always seek and not stop, because I've learned this and that. The maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I trained with Funaki.
Oh, Sho Funaki.
Yeah, he's training out here in San Antonio, and I trained with him for a couple years, and he definitely polished me. And after I trained with him, there was the aha moment of just, it's hard to explain, because you don't know that you don't have it until you realize that you don't have it, and then you work on it. Just getting the psychology and understanding the psychology in the heat of the moment. You can call a match all day long, but once you're in there throwing blows and you're all blowed up, and you're trying to think, and if you're not experienced enough, you can't really think very well. Somebody's got to carry you. I found that I was able to think more in the heat of the moment, as far as where I'm at in the match, the psychology, where we need to go, if we need to get back on track. That's one of the aha moments that I had, and what came along with that was just my footwork too. Just ring awareness and just knowing, and just a knowing.
Wow,
if it makes sense.
Well, it's interesting. You brought up Chavo Classic, which is the guy who really broke you in the business. Now you're talking about Sho Funaki, which, folks, you may know Sho Funaki right now as the Japanese commentator in the WWE, but he also wrestled in the WWE. He's part of Kaientai, and well before that, he was a huge star in Japan. I mean, a guy that really just has some quality, crisp, in-ring action, which is why it's able to translate when he's training younger wrestlers like he did for our guest here, Rudy Russo. So shout out to Sho Funaki. That's a great call out there. There's another veteran that you spent some time around, a guy by the name of Rudy Boy Gonzalez. Talk to us about your relationship with Rudy Boy Gonzalez and how that's come about there.
Well, Rudy has been around a very long time, and he has a wealth of knowledge. It took a while for me to understand his personality.
Oh, Rudy's a tough guy. He is a tough guy, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I finally figured it out, then the relationship got much better, and it never was a bad relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know, but it's just I understood and I got it, and I could approach him more because of that. But I tell you what, man, he's always has a training class going on, so he's putting out students left and right, and you can tell who his students are when they go out and wrestle, because they know how to work, when they're getting out there. So if anybody in Texas has the knowledge and the reputation of being one of the best trainers in the country, really, it's Rudy boy, and he's got a lot of good things going for him. I mean, his outlook has changed, and he's got a good future.
He sure does.
Training the students.
He sure does, and he's a friend of the show. Shout out to Rudy Boy Gonzalez. It's amazing. One of the things that I appreciate personally about him is that he has a strong eye for talent. So when Rudy Boy Gonzalez says, Duke, you got to talk to this guy, Rudy Russo. Yeah, we absolutely, man. Let's check this Rudy Russo out, because if Rudy Boy is given his stamp of approval, this is the guy who trained Daniel Bryan, Kendrick, Paul London. These are all champions we're talking about. Matt Bentley, former champion. This is a guy, now he has Sugar and Spice, who's on the come up here. Victoria Gonzalez, who just got signed with NXT.
Oh, yeah. Here's
a guy that understands talent, and he was a guy in his day when he wrestled in the NWA and the WWF way back. The other wrestlers respected him and trusted him. They knew they could get a great match out of him, and he was going to make them look great in there. So that just proves that he knows what he's doing. So,
right.
That's a good call out by you there. Now, Russo, if fans want to get a good understanding of what you bring to the table, or not even just fans, let's talk about other promotions. Let's say a promoter needs a solid wrestler who has a good fan base and what have you, and they want to have an understanding of what Rudy Russo brings to the table. What's a match that you can call out that maybe we can dig up online or what have you, just to see Rudy Russo in action?
There was a good match out there, Rudy Russo versus Wes Adams with Wildcat.
Say the first name again. What Adams?
Wes Adams.
W-E-S, Wes Adams.
Yeah. If you look up that match, it's a Wildcat match, and that was a good match. I was doing the heel thing on that match. It was good psychology and just good crisp match. I'm real proud of that one. One of my bigger matches, of course, was with Funaki and Carlito in a three-way.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a super opportunity for me, and very, very grateful for that match as well.
Now, you've actually have tasted some major championships in your career. You held an NWA title.
Yeah, I'm the three-time NWA Lone Star junior heavyweight champion.
Wow, that's a pretty big history there. So congratulations on that accomplishment. Clearly, you're somebody who has done his due diligence there. If you're winning NWA titles like that, wow.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Now listen, your family. You guys in the wrestling business. You travel all over the world. You are away from home often and what have you, and it takes a strong family to understand and appreciate that. Give a shout out. You got anybody in the family you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, of course, first and foremost, my parents, Rudy and Emma, and anybody that decides to jump in the business and tells their family that they want to be a pro wrestler. It's it's a tough conversation to have, because people may not take you seriously. when I decided wanted to do this, I had 100% support from my family, from my parents. So, Rudy and Emma, I thank you very much for that. I really appreciate the support. Without that, I wouldn't have gotten started. My girlfriend right now, Jennifer, she supports me just going on the road every weekend and staying home with the dog while I'm out. There's, I think we all know that relationships in wrestling are kind of few and far between. To find someone that can understand the business and let you handle the business. So,
hey, double shout out to Jennifer. That's the truth. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm telling you.
Now, what's the name of the dog? We got to talk about the dog here.
My dog's name is Buddy Love.
Oh. Not Brother Love. So listen, Bruce Pritchard, don't get all excited here. He said Buddy Love.
Yeah, he's over here looking at me too when I said his name.
Oh, he knows the name. He knows the name. Yeah. Hey, Rudy, if fans want to reach out to you online and what have you, what's the best way that fans can reach out to you, and what's the best way that bookers can reach out to you if they want to have you on their show?
Oh, yeah, fans, you can reach me at the Facebook at Official Rudy Russo. That's where you'll find me on Facebook, and you can always inbox me, and I'll respond to you. Promoters, you can use that as well, or you can email me at rudy.russo@live.com.
Perfect. And do you have any upcoming shows coming up? If fans want to see you in action live, what's coming up in the not-too-distant future?
I got a real big show that I'm working with, and it's called Galactic Professional Wrestling. It's a new promotion here in San Antonio, and they are partnered up with the San Antonio Food Bank. So we're giving back to the community with that show, and that's going to be on December 10th in San Antonio, and it's going to be at the San Antonio Food Bank.
Wow.
So yeah, you're getting $2 off once you bring a couple canned goods, and it's for a great cause. And we're having Lance Hoyt and Keith Lee as the main event at that show.
Nice.
So I don't think we've seen them wrestle each other yet, so that should be a good match to look out for. But that's one of the big shows that I've got coming up.
Great. Now, do we know who Rudy Russo is going to be facing yet, or is that going to be determined?
Yeah, that's to be determined.
Okay. Well, listen, folks, Rudy Russo is putting out a challenge out there for Galactic Wrestling. If you think you can hang with the 13-year veteran, the guy that's making it happen in the Texas territory, be at Galactic Wrestling, because Rudy Russo is ready for you.
That's right. I'm ready for whoever wants to step up to that challenge. Absolutely. You got my number.
That's right.
So let's see what we can do.
That's right. Listen, Rudy Russo, we really appreciate you coming on the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast. You're a guy, like I said, I mean, the ladies love you. The kids talk about you in the Texas area. And even the tough veteran, the guy that, if he's not going to put you over unless you earn it. I'm talking about our friend Rudy Boy Gonzalez. If he gave you a thumbs up, then you must be all right. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm really good to hear about that.
Can we have you back on the show sometime soon?
Anytime, Duke. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
His name is Rudy Russo, folks. He is the man.
Thanks, Duke. I appreciate it, man.
Up next, the Boston Bad Boy has more of your listener-submitted questions, a.k.a. Ask Duke. But before we get to any of that, I have to remind you to head over to Barnyard Cheese. That's right, Barnyard Cheese over at 149 Avenue C between 9th and 10th Streets in New York City. Boston Bad Boy.
Yep.
Last week, I told you about Victor's famous empanadas.
Oh, yeah, empanadas.
And also the gingeroo drink.
Yeah, and I haven't tried that yet, but I'm working on it.
Listen, people really gave me a hard time about the ginger beer when I started talking about how it tickles my nose, makes me sneeze.
Well, that was a bit too much information.
Everyone just kind of laughed at me like, all right, Duke, you with the tickled nose and the ginger beer.
People don't know what a sensitive man you are.
I'm telling you. Well,
big teddy bear at
they're
heart.
going to find out, I'm telling you. But listen, this week, we have the Veggie Supreme.
All right.
See, now I know that you're a meat and potatoes guy.
I know, but I respect a well done veggie.
Hey,
so what do you got for me? And I'm sure our friends at Barnyard Cheese know what they're doing.
Well, they sure do. Listen to these ingredients: house-made, oven-roasted vegetables.
All right.
fresh ricotta,
Okay.
pesto,
All right, I'm a fan of that.
and this is all on a delightful baguette.
Oh.
See?
See, I like the roasted vegetable because it has a bit more heft to it.
Yes.
It doesn't get slimy. You want like a nice, it's got a little tooth to it.
Well, also you put a little salt on there.
That's right.
And it sinks into
That's
the,
right, yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
it brings the
goodness.
flavor
Yeah,
out,
so it
the
really
juice,
makes you get
yeah.
in. Yeah, you want to
You
eat more.
want a little, you want a little heft to your sandwich. So you get it roasted. That's the right way to do it.
And you know what? Because you kind of balked at the veggie at first,
Well.
you want a little protein in there, fine. You can add 2 eggs to the sandwich.
Oh.
That's something that they offer with this.
All right,
as well.
I like that. Just
Isn't
to
that
get
awesome?
a little binder.
Yeah, get a little
Yeah.
protein in there. So listen, stop depriving yourself of deliciousness.
I will.
Visit barnyardcheese.com for more info. Enjoy.
Hey guys, this is Chelsea, the wrestling fan, and you're listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
Man, how cool was that talking to Rudy Russo?
Oh, total pro.
Yeah, he really is. You know, a good guy, and it's amazing when you strip down everything and you're able to talk to these wrestlers behind the scenes, so to speak.
Right, right.
It reminds you that they're just regular folks, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, and like he said, he talked a lot about having fun with it,
Exactly.
and that's a good life lesson for anybody.
He brought up his lovely girlfriend Jennifer,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even his dog. I mean, that was really cool.
We have a lot of dog listeners, I think.
We do. Shout out to the dog listeners. You know, we have cat listeners, too. Don't forget Stannis the cat sent in
that's
a,
right.
a message
That's
before.
right.
Our friend over in England there,
It's
Stannis.
impossible, sir. Impossible. Cats do not have thumbs.
Hey,
They
listen.
do not. They're not able to send in messages.
Well, Stannis found a way.
Yeah.
He wanted some of those bootios.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Yeah, shout out
You know
to...
what I want?
What?
Peace of mind.
Oh, please. All right, what do you got for Ask Duke here?
Well, all right. Let's go through and see what we got here for questions on my list. All right. The first question comes from Cam West 23.
Well, listen, Cam West.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cam West. Cam West is from Twitter,
Yeah.
and he and his wife just had a baby.
Oh,
today.
congratulations.
The baby was literally delivered, about less than 12 hours ago.
Wow. Very new.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty amazing. Shout out to Cam West and his wife Bethany
Do you
and
know
the
if
whole
it was
family.
a boy or a girl?
I don't know. That's a
So I
good
was wondering
question.
if it's a boy, that could be Cam West 24.
Oh, there it is.
Because we still have, a lot more numbers there.
Or-
Assuming this is the 23rd Cam West that decided to join Twitter.
You know what? That's impressive. Can you imagine? That's a big family.
He should jump on 24.
That's
He should
it.
get that right.
That's it.
You-
Yeah.
Girl or boy.
Girl or boy?
All right, so Cam West 23 says, how will 205 Live affect the cruiserweights on Raw?
Whoa, big question. Big question here. You know, 205 Live. So 205 represents the weight class for the cruiserweight. So the idea is if in order to be a cruiserweight, you have to weigh 205 pounds or less.
Oh, I just recently am able to move down into the cruiserweight.
There you go.
I'm very happy.
See, look, congratulations there. But,
Continue.
You know, it's funny on Raw. There's been some talk of how the cruiserweights have been presented. I think it's fine, just like I think everything Vince McMahon does is fine. But some folks, they've been complaining a little bit. Peanut Gallery, all of you. So I feel that this new show, 205 Live, which is going to air every Tuesday evening, I believe it's going to air right after SmackDown ends. But 205 Live will be on the WWE Network. I think that's going to be great. I think it's going to give more opportunity to put a spotlight on the cruiserweights, which can't hurt. So 10 p.m. on the WWE Network, 205 Live. That'll be starting in the next couple of weeks. I think it'll be great. Thank you, Cam West 23, and congratulations to the family and the baby.
All right, moving on. Tellis Cade.
Tellis Cade. Now, that's a pro wrestler.
Does that ring a bell to you?
Yeah. Tellis Cade. In fact, I'm going to put out a challenge to Tellis Cade. You've been ducking us there, pal. Okay? I know you've
That's
been...
exactly what you want to say to a wrestler.
I know. He's going to kill me.
Yeah.
No, but Tellis Cade is a very opinionated wrestler, and I know at times he's taken issue with some of the positions that I've had on this show.
So you're saying we're going to get along swell then?
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, I'm telling Tellis Cade, if you have the guts... Big man, if you have the guts, you'll come on the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast next week, Jack, okay? And tell me to my face what you think of me and my opinions on pro wrestling. Okay, tell us, Kate.
I'm going on record and disavowing any involvement in this building feud.
Listen,
now.
I'm getting sick and tired of these pro wrestlers who are making it happen out there, but they're taking issue with the Duke and his position on a few things, okay? Listen, just because I agree with Vince McMahon most of the time and I think he's the greatest thing going today, okay? Just because I agree, that doesn't mean that I'm sucking up to Vince McMahon. Tell us, Cade, by the way. So listen, pal, I'm serious. This is an open challenge for you to come on the show next week. Tell us how you really feel. All right. What's his question?
Well,
sick of this guy.
Before we got off on that tangent,
tell us, Kate. You know he's a pretty good wrestler too, by the way.
I'm sure he's better. I'm sure he's better than you.
Well, he's definitely better than me.
I can't wait till he proves that on your physical person.
And he has a strong fan base, which is why I'm a little upset with the fact that he was trying to give the Duke a hard time.
Hey, listen.
Tell us, Cade.
Maybe he's got a stronger fan base because he knows what he's talking about.
Listen, this guy is really out of it. He has this friend of his, Jenna Michelle. And she agrees with him, too.
You know, it's funny. His friends don't have crazy names like your friends do. Jenna Michelle, that's a normal name. That's a normal name. The people I'm reading here, it's like alien names.
Well, leave my...
And that's why Tell Us Cade is kind of a cool name, so that's why I picked it. It wasn't one of your, like, Star Rider 9143X.
Listen, Airman Grove.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Do we have time to go down that road tonight?
No. Let's hear the Tell Us Cade.
Tell Us Cade asks, where does TNA go from here?
Wow. Well, hey, you know what? I'll give Tell Us Cade credit. At least he asked a decent question. It's a great question. I'm a little concerned, like I've been saying for the last few weeks here. I'm concerned that TNA is a lot of smoke and mirrors right now, and they keep claiming that they have found the cash to stay afloat, but they really don't have it together. In fact, if Billy Corgan sells his 30+% that he has in equity in the company, let's say he gives that to a WWE, and let's say WWE tries to exercise some kind of option on that or what have you, they're gonna put that company out of business for good, you know, just to get rid of them, just for the heck of it. Who knows? So I hope and I pray that TNA is able to make it. But I'm telling you, the level of mismanagement that's been going on in that company is just been unfortunate. And really, it's terrible for the wrestlers, especially the ones who are still there. I'm a big fan of Sienna. I think she's fantastic. I'm a big fan of Cody Rhodes, who just got there, and his wife, Brandi. I think they're great. The legend, Gail Kim, love her. There's some quality folks over there, and it would be a shame for them to be in a company that goes out of business and essentially they're back out there trying to figure out what the next move is. So I hope and I pray TNA is going to make it, but in all honesty, it's not looking too good. And no matter what positive spin they try to put on it, I don't have the faith. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Tell us, Cade. I'm telling you right now, great question, but I'm telling you right now, Jack, if you have it in you, you come on this show.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Can we let this go before I get caught in the crossfire with this?
Well, who do you have next?
Well, I wasn't going to do this, but now I'm going to pull this name out of here because I was going to be nice today, but I'm starting to feel I've been listening to you for over an hour and I can't. Next question comes from Dingo Jr. Now, why does that sound familiar?
Now wait a second. I know who this is.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a couple of weeks ago, we had a question from Dingo.
That's correct.
And you talked about eating dingo eating somebody's children.
No, I said a dingo ate your baby, which is a famous line from a movie.
Okay,
which is the woman who, her son, it was based on a true story.
Wow.
She went camping. This was a very big news story in the 80s in the Outback. And when she was questioned on the stand, she said, a dingo ate my baby. And it became this whole thing that, like, they thought she killed her kid, but she claimed that a dingo came in and dragged the kid off. So it became sort of this funny, strange thing, and there was a movie. I think Meryl Streep was in the movie. So this dingo character...
Well, he wasn't happy with you.
Yeah, he got all bent out of shape.
He wants to... Listen, shout out to Dingo Sr., He's not happy with you.
You're giving him a shout out? He's not happy? Whose side are you on here?
I'm a little afraid of Dingo, so I got to make sure I give him some love. And
you know what? I'm going to give Dingo the same advice William Shatner gave all those Trekkies. Get a life.
No. Stop it right now. Listen, first of all, Dingo Jr., all right? The reason why he wants to go by Dingo Jr. is because they had a dog named Dingo.
Okay.
So the dad was a big Ultimate Warrior fan.
Sure.
The kid named the dog Dingo.
Yep.
And the kid wanted to be Dingo Jr.
That's fine.
So, shout out to Dingo Jr. Good
I
kid.
have no problem with Dingo Jr.
Oh, so it's Dingo Sr. that
he had a problem.
Well, hey, you did kind of say he
you
eats
submit a
babies.
question. You submit a question to our show.
Yeah.
I talk about you and your ridiculous questions like I talk about every other person. Because guess what? It's my show.
Oh.
And it's our show. And then you want to go and get all bent out of shape on social media. You know what? If you've got that kind of time, go ahead. I'm still going to ask the questions.
Hey.
You're still going to answer the questions.
True.
So you know what? Again, get a life.
Leave Dingo alone. Shout out to Dingo Senior, Dingo Junior. You sat there and you kissed up to that Telescade, but you're over here talking about
Dingo Junior. I don't remember exactly what Dingo's question was, but I'm sure it was something inane that you rambled on him on.
Yeah.
I actually like Dingo Junior's question.
Oh, okay.
So Dingo Junior asks, as a kid, I loved the bright colors and characters in pro wrestling when I was really young, but as I get older, I prefer edgier wrestlers like Viper Randy Orton. Is it time for WWE to change John Cena's cartoonish gimmick? Do they realize we're getting sick of it? We meaning him, people who might like something edgier.
Oh, well, hey, listen, you're not going to get any pushback from me, Dingo Jr. That's a great question. John Cena is, as The Rock would call him, Mr. Fruity Pebbles. He has all these bright colors and nonsense going on here. And, yeah, I think that gimmick is starting to get a little outdated. And it would be nice to see Cena go back to being edgier in his own right. Because keep in mind, there was a period where he was the rapper. John Cena the rapper, and he would say some pretty nasty, clever stuff.
Like rapping?
Well, he has a platinum-selling rap album, John Cena. I swear. So this guy...
do you own it?
I do.
I had to ask. Because,
but no, seriously.
How did I not know that?
It's sold, man. I got sucked into it. I'm not going to lie. But imagine that he was a wrestler who was so popular that he was able to have a platinum-selling album.
Well, I mean, The Rock made a movie career out of it.
Well, absolutely.
So I guess it's not that much of a stretch.
Yeah, it's not that much of a stretch.
And maybe he's good at it. I don't know. What would you say the quality of his hip-hop album is?
John Cena's pretty solid.
Really?
He can freestyle, bro. In fact, he challenged Snoop Dogg to a freestyle. Snoop wouldn't do it. He wanted to battle him at WrestleMania.
Well,
Snoop
I was going to
say
it would be great if they agreed to do this sort of a rap face-to-face rap battle.
Yep.
And then while Cena's doing his thing, Snoop Dogg just like gives him the stunner.
Hey.
Just like he turns his own game on him.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love it.
I would have loved to see that.
I'd love it. So imagine if Cena went back to that. That would be huge.
Well, I don't know. Again, is Middle America really ready for that? I know it's platinum selling.
Yeah.
And I know that obviously.
Oh, who do you think bought it? I mean,
right,
on,
I know, but
but
now after he's gone, he's sort of established his thing now.
Can he go backwards?
Can you go back to that?
Fair.
Can you go from Raw to polished back to Raw and have it really be?
Yeah.
And also, I'm wondering, spinning off this question, what is the target audience for the WWE? Because this brings up a good question. Is it, in my experience in the media, knowing that, like, say, for a certain television station or whatever, 25 to 54 men.
Yep.
That's what they would call their demographic.
Yep.
Or 25 to 54 women or people. That's how it's broken down. So a guy like Vince, he's looking at numbers. What do you think their target audience? Do you think it's men 25, 54? To me, that's a demographic that they.
So that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
They have that demographic already, so they're not trying to get it.
No, but when you have a demographic, you are constantly having to keep it. So you're constantly targeting that. Whether you never own it.
So here's the thing.
Who are they actively targeting?
They own it. They're actively targeting the kids.
They are.
They need to bring up the next generation. That's why you have New Day with all the merchandise and what have you. That's why you have John Cena. That's why you have Roman Reigns not being a full bad guy. They're marketing to the kids and to women.
All right, so when you say kids, give me like 12 plus?
Younger.
12? Younger than that.
Yeah, you're under 14.
So you're saying they're marketing the same way Toys R Us is marketing?
Absolutely. The toy market for WWE right now, it's not marketed to adults. Not at all.
All right, so where do the adults who don't have kids, what are they doing to appeal to them?
Women.
What are they doing to the women? So they're working on the woman angle.
They're working. That's why you have more women being featured, number one. And number two, you have more attractive men.
Okay. What prevents the demographic that you say they own?
Yep.
What prevents them from becoming disinterested? You know what I'm saying? What are they keeping in? In other words, say they own men 25 to 54.
Absolutely.
And I keep saying that because that's the demographic that advertisers go after.
Yep.
Because those are the kind of people, once you're older than 54, you're not going to change your mind about what socks you wear, right? Or whatever. What beer you drink.
Yep.
That's a big one.
Yep.
So let's say that's a nice big median. That's a pretty good spread. Those guys are the sort of the stable, they're the stable demographic for WWE. What keeps them? In other words, if they go 90% kids and the flashy colors, it brings back to Dingo Jr.'s question, which is, what are they doing for me as I get into that demographic? I may lose interest if I don't see something edgier. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what the network is for. So the network is where you're going to graduate to.
So they're expecting you to follow them into a diverse sort of platform.
You can still get what you want there, but as far as what's happening live and all that stuff, they're going towards the kids.
There's a certain, and I don't want to get into the weeds here about marketing and all that, but I feel like there's the shortest path to gratification, right? Like they want to put a product in front of you and have you go right to it. They don't want to put steps in. It's not like, call us and we'll give you an email that you send an email to, and you don't want to do that. So what about sort of the casual fan, the fan that likes to pop it on TV when they're, Monday Night Raw's on, I'm just gonna get nothing to do. What keeps them? Because that I think is significant.
True.
You have your super fans, but you're getting a lot from the casual fan. Is the casual fan going to invest effort to jump on the network?
Well, this is why you have people like Brock Lesnar, who's real. So he'll really bust your head open where you're bleeding all over the place.
But we've already decided that that's a bad move in the long run.
But in the short term, it's a great move.
Yeah, but if you're a guy like Vince, you're looking at long term. You're not worried about
the kids are the long term investment.
Right, but they're going to have to graduate. So there's also a thing is there may be. Think of how many distractions kids have. Think of how many different directions they have sports and the multitude of entertainment they're given. How do you keep the kids who are not the ones that didn't go into super fandom that stick with it and say, I used to watch as a kid, I'll pop it on when I see it, or I'll Monday night. How do you keep them as they mature and want to see something edgier and balance that with the goofy stuff with the kids?
You have Brock Lesnar. You have somebody who is real. That's literally what they've done.
Right. All right.
Whether or not it's the right thing to do, that's what they've done. They've tried to give you this is one thing that wrestling has right now in the WWE specifically. You have something for everyone. Right. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, who knows?
No, I think it is the right thing to do. I just think that the harder you, in other words, to watch Raw, it's a matter of me flop my ass down on the couch and pressing the button on my remote, and I see it there.
Absolutely.
If I'm watching that and and sort of the message to me is, if you want to see the real stuff that you really like, log on to WWE. I'm like, I'll just watch a rerun of Seinfeld. You know what I mean? If I'm a casual fan. So I think that they still, within the broadcast, within sort of the gold standard of thing that they do, that is sort of the base of the platform, they have to keep something going there. And I think it has to be more than these walk-ons from Brock Lesnar or whatever it is. I think integral to the fabric of what it is has to retain some of that sort of edgier stuff.
You hear that, Vince McMahon? You have the Boston bad boy trying to tell you how to do your job.
Listen,
so that's what you got here.
I think he would agree with me. I think they're already thinking about that.
Yeah.
I just think they're slow to react to it, and that might just be the nature of how you have to run it.
They're too busy putting other companies out of business.
Yeah, that must be it.
That's just the reality of it there.
All right,
let's get one more. Let's get one more.
Yeah, we'll get another there. How about this question from Mephisto?
Oh, our girl Mephisto.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of her.
Well,
just so you know.
Yeah, I think we do. Again, another thing we already decided that would make sense.
She's tough.
Mephisto wants to know, who's going to win on Saturday at the IWF event?
Oh, she's clever. She's clever.
Well, she's painting you in a corner.
So if I say the wrong thing here, Mephisto's going to travel all the way from Russia.
Yep.
And she's probably going to bite me.
Do svidaniya, darling.
Yes, exactly. Whatever that means.
Still don't know what that means. I learned it in Rocky IV. Was it Rocky IV?
Please, Mephisto, the Boston Bad Boys, I don't know if he swore at you or not, but it's him, not me. Okay? So on Saturday, IWF Russia is putting on a huge event. And the big match on that card is Mephisto taking on Bonnie. Okay? Now, Mephisto is the IWF Women's Champion. And Bonnie, she's been wrestling for about 10 years. She's wrestled all over Europe and Asia, what have you. Bonnie's a tough challenger. But Mephisto is 100% kick your butt 100% of the time. And, she's tough, man. She's tough. So she expects to beat the living daylights out of Bonnie. And then she's going to go on to WrestleStar 3, which is coming up, I believe, the following week, where she's going to beat the crap out of Tyra. So, I mean, geez, Mephisto's on a collision course with a lot of her opponents out there.
Yeah, you might be next.
Yeah. So the fact that she even asked what's going to happen, well, of course I'm going to say you're going to win. What am I going to say? You're going to lose? You're the champion.
No, you know what? I think you should say she's going to lose because I want to watch her.
No.
Beat the bag out of you.
Listen.
It would be so great.
Mephisto, you're going to beat everybody.
She has an invitation, a standing invitation to do that live on this show.
Oh, Lord.
And I'll even wear the referee thing, but I'm not tapping her out. She's just going to keep going at you.
I don't think you understand how she will crush me, okay?
I know. It'll be hilarious. And I think it'll be the biggest push that this show's ever had.
Oh, God. That's it. That's enough of that. Mephisto wins. Mephisto always wins.
Well, there you go. All right, let's see. I guess we got one more question here. All right, let's do this one. So, this was some notes that I had put together, and I was going to ask you about.
Oh no, we're going to do another one of the Boston Bad Boy questions here.
That's right.
Oh my Buddha! Here we go.
So WWE brings back the cruiserweights, the smaller wrestlers. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And they want to. It's sort of the change of pace for the three-hour Raw program. They might as well just. They could have also just had that old footage of the hot dog. Let's go out to the lobby because you need a break. You need a bathroom break.
Stop.
So the wrestlers are all right, but the matches, they don't generate much interest in the context of the whole thing. And we know Vince McMahon likes these big muscle guys that are like 6+ feet. Hogan, Undertaker.
Yeah,
you name them.
Monsters. Yeah.
Monster, big guy. So here's the thing. Does Vince McMahon take these cruiserweight guys because there's some sort of push within the industry and say, all right, I'll put them on TV, and he just sort of buries them in the middle of Raw because he wants to snub it out?
Why do you do this every week? You ask a ridiculous question.
I want you to tell me why there wouldn't be something more done with them than putting them in the middle of nowhere, in a dead zone.
All right.
They are literally the bathroom break for Raw.
Well, that's not fair. But listen, this is why we have 205 Live, which you touched upon earlier in the question, to help feature the cruiserweights more prominently. So you got to keep something in mind. Let's go through the history of this here. Cruiserweights started off, that even terminology started off in WCW. And they would have the best smaller wrestlers from all over the world. Everyone from Rey Mysterio Jr. and Psicosis from Mexico. They had Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds from America. They had guys from all over the place, even from Japan. I think Ultimo Dragon, you remember him? Acai, shout out to Acai, Ultimo Dragon there. So they had the guys.
Stop. This is like Grandpa telling me a story, and he's telling me about Normandy Beach again, and I really respect it, but I'm just
getting started.
No, I know, and that's why I have to stop you, because we're already in the weeds here.
No, we're not in the weeds.
We're in the weeds here.
Dude,
we're in the weeds here with another Vince McMahon. We know what it is.
Are you going to let me finish?
No, I'm not going to let you finish, because this is just another Vince McMahon ploy, and I'm going to tell you something. Let's talk about what happened. I said I was going to talk about it, but I want to talk about another Vince McMahon ploy.
What?
There is a man who's been elected President of the United States who once received the Stone Cold Stunner during a live wrestling match.
Wait a second. You said you were going to talk about politics.
I changed my mind because it was either that or listen to you ramble on about the history of the cruiserweight and have everybody delete this podcast.
Oh, God.
Because it was like listening to, it's like Bueller. I couldn't take it. 15 seconds of it. I couldn't take it. And here's my point. A couple of weeks ago we talked about this. And I was of the opinion, the correct opinion, as it turns out, that we've just been subject to the greatest kayfabe in the history of the United States.
Don't do this, please.
We went through it all. I won't go through it all. People can tune back into the episode, and you're going to post a link to what episode I'm referencing so people can hear the beginning of this story. But to say that Donald Trump, very good buddies with Vince McMahon.
Be careful.
Donald Trump, an entertainer, a television personality, someone who understands the show. Donald Trump wants to go out and put on the biggest show in the history of the world.
You're treading on thin ice, pal.
Who does he go to help him do it?
Oh, no.
He goes to Vince McMahon.
Oh, no.
And what happens? Vince McMahon helps him get elected to the presidency of the United States. Look what happened.
Oh, no.
This guy.
Again with this.
This guy executed the biggest stunning upset.
No.
This is like the biggest upset in wrestling history.
Stop it. Stop it right now. Listen, the American people voted who they wanted to be president of the United States. The American people.
Who put their options out there? Who danced this whole thing around? Who knows how to run the media? Who knows how to do a promo? This guy, whether you agree with his politics or not, and again, I'm going to stay neutral because I think we should as broadcasters.
Oh, yeah, real neutral, yeah.
I think that whether you like this guy's politics, he knew how to go and do a promo. He knew how to stand up there and get people to... He knew how to point at the media, the cameras at him. And it was like watching Ric Flair up there.
Oh, gosh.
It was like this guy was trained by the best in the business.
No.
And Vince McMahon helped orchestrate the takeover of this country by Donald J. Trump.
I think you literally have lost your mind.
No.
Okay, I mean, at first I thought you were just joking around,
No.
but now I realize that you really are crazy.
No.
Okay, no, Vince McMahon didn't have anything to do with this.
How did he not have anything to do with it?
Because Vince McMahon is a pro wrestling promoter, and you're talking about the president of the United States.
Pro wrestling promoter.
Okay,
A very successful businessman. Who does that sound like? Donald Trump.
they're friends. What do you want?
That's right. They're
what do you
friends.
want?
They understand the same business.
That's a coincidence.
All right, you've heard stories of when Donald Trump goes backstage and talks to wrestlers, and he goes back there, and when he was involved, he's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, as I believe we mentioned at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
What does he do when he's back there? He talks to these guys. He's laser. He wants to know everything, the mechanics of it. Okay, so he gets this idea spinning in his blonde orange head that who would if I'm going to pull off the biggest coup in media history, because that's mainly what this is about.
Oh my gosh.
This whole thing was a big FU to any kind of established whatever. Who is the best at building you up and pulling the rug out from under you? Vince McMahon did it with the match with the girl last week.
Hey, don't start with the Sasha Banks stuff now.
He pulled the rug right out from Sasha Banks last week.
You stop it right now.
And the rug got pulled out of the American people right now, orchestrated by the guy who does it all the time. He's the best.
Let me tell you something.
Telling you.
Let me tell you something. For you to disrespect not only Vince McMahon, okay, the entire pro wrestling business, and American voters.
It's not disrespectful.
All in one swoop.
I'm not saying,
okay?
Listen, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying it is. It is what happened.
No, it is not. It is not, okay? Let me explain something to you. Politics and pro wrestling are two totally separate worlds.
No,
there,
wrong.
All right?
Wrong.
They have nothing to do with each other.
You're fired.
Other
Listen
than
to me.
your crazy mind.
They're not wrong because they're both businesses. They're both very strictly controlled businesses.
Okay.
And what is politics but a storyline? All they talk about in politics is controlling the optics, controlling the story, letting it, this gets out, this doesn't get out. We go harder on this. Who better than the man whose job it is to run a soap opera for the world?
Well, let me ask you this then. How do you explain Rhino not winning his race in Michigan?
You have to give reality to it. You can't just be that blatant and have it be this big shot that just comes out and everybody wins. We're talking high level stuff, high frequency stuff.
High level stuff, and somebody clued you in on it because you're dialed into the high level stuff.
Here I am sitting staring into space, which is what I do 23 hours out of the day.
You sound insane,
and it just occurred to me. I'm just telling you.
You sound absolutely insane. Listen, folks, we're cutting this guy off here because I'm telling you right now, when he starts talking that conspiracy stuff.
Again, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying it is. And I know there are people who will agree with me.
It is not. Listen, we want to thank Rudy Russo for joining us this week. Head over to Facebook and Twitter. Type in Duke Loves Rasslin. You can give us all your comments. We'll be back next week, folks, and hopefully the Boston Bad Boy, I don't know, we're going to have to get a muzzle for this guy or something.
Are you crazy?
No,
what I'm
crazy.
saying to you is that who else could have done it?
How could you ever talk about Vince McMahon that way? I'm telling you, I just don't know.